This Nation, I kind of see one, it was elevated horror before there was A24. You
Yeah.
know, it's a high concept horror movie. And I see it as a bridge kind of between the 90s slashers that had the opening kill and then went into the rest of it as a slasher versus then we went into the supernatural with the others, The Grudge, The Ring,
Mm.
and you had Final Destination that was like right in between there. It's not a slasher, it's not really supernatural, but it kind of has elements of both.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Andrew Rimby, aka Andrew. Thank you so much for listening to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room podcast. And before you hear today's episode, which I just know you're going to love, can you please do me a favor? And wherever you're listening, if it's Spotify or Apple, please rate and review us. Make sure you're following the podcast. Share it with friends, family, anyone you think would just love hearing this conversation. And you can watch our podcast on YouTube. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. It's called the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, and you'll see the video episode. So please make sure you like the video you're watching and comment. I always respond to the comments. Also, we have a Patreon. So if you don't want any of the ads and you want bonus material, join our Patreon. There's a 1 week free trial. It's patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And the free trial is for the professor level. Without further ado, here is today's exciting episode. Everyone, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby. Welcome back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. So, I love whenever we have an expert in the film genre, film industry. You're all going to be obsessed with this guest, Padraic Maroney. He was at the Final Destination Bloodlines premiere. He was on the front lines, and he's an entertainment writer with 3 decades of experience. The author of First, It All Began with a Scream, a behind the scenes deep dive into the Scream movie franchise, which is why we're wearing our Scream shirts. I'm joined with my fiance, Lawrence. And he also completed the New York City Marathon in 2021. There's a little fun fact. An experience he says was more terrifying than any horror film he's ever watched. And his recent book is called Escaping Death, the unauthorized story behind the Final Destination movies. So we're here to really talk about Final Destination, but I'm sure Scream will make its way. We have both of your covers in the background. I love it. So, Patrick, welcome to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, if you just want to explain, like, what got you into the Final Destination franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them all in movie theaters. I saw the original when it came out in 2000 and yeah, it was so clever, the idea behind it, and not being able to see death and it being all around us, as some of the people say in the book, it's much scarier what you can't see than, if you have a Jason or a Freddy that's like trying to attack you, because you the chance of you ever being attacked by a masked madman is smaller than, you know, some of the everyday things that Final Destination has traumatized us about. So I think that's what that's what made me a fan initially.
Well, we all die sometime, right?
That's the other thing. You can't escape from dying. Like everyone's going to die at some point.
So when did you see the first Final Destination? Do you remember that experience?
Yeah, so I saw it in theaters in 2000 when it came out. And I just remember if nothing else, I remember the bus hit when Terry gets hit, drop fucking dead, and then everyone explodes in the, no pun intended, in the theater because it was so unexpected.
Yeah. Well, and then something that I've like was so curious since you spent so much time with this franchise, and I think you and Lawrence have been more immersed in Final Destination than I have. I mean, I don't really remember seeing it until maybe I think the 3D one. So that's Final Destination
Four.
4. Okay.
You started
Um
on the best one.
oh, so okay, what's your favorite Final Destination, including the Bloodlines that just came out?
You know, it might be a cop out, but I always go with the first one in every franchise just because that's when it was fresh and new. You didn't know what the formula was going to be with it, and there's things that some of the other movies might have done better, but the first one, very rarely, as they say in Scream 2, sequels very rarely ever outshine the original.
And
Okay.
the cast too. Iconic cast, Devon Sawa, Ali Larter, amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
And even someone who like Amanda Detmer that hadn't done much when she got cast by the time it came out, like people still we kind of knew her. It was a really like put together cast with Kerr Smith and Sean William Scott. Like American Pie didn't come out till they were in the middle of filming. So like but by the time this came out in March of 2000, he was huge and known to everyone as Stifler. So like it was literally an amazing cast that it was kind of like kismetly put together.
Yeah. Did would you say that Scream's cast, the first Scream and the Final Destination cast, except for Drew Barrymore, right? We can put her out.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they all were kind of unknown or like this was maybe their second film? They weren't like necessarily in like
Uh,
the consciousness of everyone?
I would say the screencast was a little bit more established because you had Nev Campbell that had been on Party of Five, and
Mhm.
Nev and Ski had just done The Craft earlier that year, and Matthew Lillard had been around for a couple years, with Serial Mom and Hackers. So I think, you had on the same token, you had Devon Sawa that had been around with Casper, and you know, Kerr had done Dawson's Creek and Sean William Scott doing American Pie, but like they were still all that really kind of blew up in like the year between when
Yeah.
they filmed and when it came out. So I feel like they were a little bit newer outside of Devon. I mean, same thing with Ali Larter. She before she got cast, she had only really done Varsity Blues, but then
Hmm.
oh yeah.
between filming and when this came out, she had Drive Me Crazy and House on Haunted Hill. So it
Oh.
was so a lot of them had things that came out and were bigger between when they started and when this came out, but I still kind of look at them as a little bit more fresh-faced than the,
Yeah.
the Screamcast.
That makes sense. Well, and she's also from Cherry Hill, Ali Larder.
Yes,
I
yes.
know that just because there's a few South Jersey celebrities, Kelly Ripa too. But okay, no, I think that's helpful to lay out. Do you feel like something that Scream and Final Destination, like from a film analysis, they both start with really innovative openings. So like do
Mhm.
you feel like that's something that these franchises share is the way that they suck you in at the beginning of the horror film?
Yeah, and that's actually part of why I wanted Final Destination to be the follow-up to the Scream book was I was looking for something that made sense. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street have been done three times over. They've been picked apart by, basically there's carcasses left. And Final Destination, I kind of see one, it was elevated horror before there was A24.
Yeah.
It's a high concept horror movie. And I see it as a bridge kind of between the 90s slashers that had the opening kill and then went into the rest of it as a slasher versus then we went into the supernatural with the others, The Grudge, The Ring,
Mm.
and you had Final Destination that was like right in between there. It's not a slasher, it's not really supernatural, but it kind of has elements of both. So that was I kind of see it as like the bridge between the two, especially for millennials. I grew up on the 90s slashers, so this was the natural element evolution.
I have a question about like what elements or um like what guided you towards your like the book.
Yeah, so really the first thing is when I started either of the books was to see if there was something already out there. And surprisingly neither of them had. When I wrote the Scream book, there hadn't been one yet. Also the it just so happened that both of them came out at the 25th anniversary, which was a complete coincidence. But also just wanting to, one, being a fan of the franchises, if you're going to spend this much time with one, it can't be something that you feel lukewarm about because you have to let Andrew, like you said, immerse yourself in it. But also just with Final Destination, it's traumatized an entire generation, but you don't hear it talked about as much as, Scream or, Friday the 13th, Halloween. And everyone says, "Oh, I just had a Final Destination moment," but you don't hear people talking about the Final Destination movies in the same vein and with the same reverence as some of the other franchises. So I kind of wanted to write the book to celebrate the franchise and be like, "Look, guys, like, look at everything, guys, girls, days,
Yes.
um, like, look at this and see what really goes into making these and how technical they are and like." How much they've affected all of us.
Well, and there's also such an action element. Like I love what you said about it's a hybrid genre. Like it's
Mhm.
slasher-ish, but it's psychological, but not
Supernatural.
supernatural, but not really deep into the supernatural. It's also like action film packed from the plane crash, the roller coaster, the
Bridge.
car
Like
racing, yeah, the bridge. Like
Yeah.
everything is stunts in a way. And I think we don't really see that a lot in horror.
And that's actually the interesting thing with Final Destination 2. If you look at it, it actually treats itself more as an action movie more
Mm.
than a horror movie. It's really an action movie with a body count where they're running and gunning throughout the movie. And it's also something that's interesting, the formula, across the movies is very similar, but each of the films feels different. The first one and the second one are very different. Even when Glenn Morgan and James Wong came back and did the third doesn't feel like the first one.
Hmm.
So they all have their own distinct personalities, which I think is something that has kept the franchise fresh also. It's not just the same thing over and over, even though it has the same formula that it kind of uses.
yeah, that is true. They do each one of the final destinations does follow like its own element. The first one was introduction. I feel like the second one was just a continuation. Then you have a whole new series like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, the fourth one, and then the fifth one, which is like a prequel. Each
Mhm.
one had their own uniqueness, and that's what I liked about the Final Destination franchises is that you're not expected to see the same thing, but death.
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's enough that's the same to make to bring you back in, but they always twist it in a different way. And I
Yeah,
think, that's what's great about having the same creative behind the scenes. Craig Perry and Sheila Hanahan Taylor have been with it since the beginning. And
Wow.
for the first four movies, they actually leapfrogged who the writers and directors were. Glenn Morgan and James Wong did the first and the third. David Ellis directed the second and the fourth. Eric Bress and J. Mackie Gruber wrote the second, and Eric Bress wrote the fourth. So like it really was like very much contained in terms of who was creative and making sure that there's continuity in place.
nice.
Well, something that's interesting is I've always loved of course I love the iconic Scream opening. I mean, who doesn't like the popcorn burning and her answering the horror film trivia? But
Mhm.
I love the fourth actually a lot because of the like
Yes.
opening within the opening and the stab films. And it's just like all these cameo appearances of celebrities. But Final Destination never really went there. Like, I guess something that I find interesting is it always does follow the premonition and we're going to see our death, and then stopping the tragedy from happening to the protagonist. Like they're not going to die. But like they've never
Mhm.
really done like a, what would you call it? Like a trick opening, if you know what I'm saying.
I think the closest they've come to a trick opening is kind of with this last one, with
Yeah,
it
the
being,
bloodlines, right?
yeah, with
Yeah, that
the
was
it
pretty cool.
being back in the 60s.
Yes.
But also, can we just take a moment and say justice for Scream 4? Like it's I everyone always asks me to rank the movies, and I try to wiggle out of it as much as I can. But Scream 4 is one of the movies in that franchise that I watch more than any others, and I think it was
Yeah.
ahead of its time. I don't love that there were three openings. I think if they would have cut out the Kristen Bell part and
Yes.
gone straight to the Lucy Hale to the real one, it would have been perfect. Um, but I think Scream 4 does not get enough credit when it's due.
I did hear, not to like to make a point on the Scream 4, I did hear that there was going to be a re-release without the shine.
Oh, yeah, the filter. I've heard that over the years. I don't know if that will ever happen.
I like that. I think it adds to the element of it's unique in its
Mm.
own way when you're just walking by, or not walking by, but when you see the camera panning and like Sydney's right in the background, it's just like it seems like something out of Melrose Place or something. I'm like, where are we?
Wait, what is this?
Scream 4.
No, no, no. I mean, what are you talking about?
There's like a
The
filter
filter.
over Scream 4 compared to all the other Scream.
Yeah, I didn't know
It's
that.
just like a shiny, I don't know what take it
It's
was.
almost
I
like a
think
little
they
fuzzy.
left it on by accident or something. I forget the whole reason why the gloss was on.
Yeah, it's and I know that's a big thing that people don't like about the movie, but like I also don't find it distracting as some people do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everyone should give Scream 4 a little bit more
Yeah.
credit,
Well,
especially in the world of influencers that we're in now. Like Jill was the
oh,
prototype.
Jill was incredible. Emma Roberts, love Emma Roberts. I mean,
Yeah.
that really launched, you know, American Horror Story, Scream Queens, her whole,
She was
uh,
Nancy Drew before that. She was doing Hotels
yes.
for Dogs. Actually, and in the Scream book, uh, the casting director mentions that at that point, like Emma wasn't auditioning, so they set up a meeting because she hadn't done that type of role before. So they didn't go straight to an offer because they wanted to make sure that she was right for this because
Uh,
with Jill, the movie would have lived and died if they had the wrong actress in there.
Mhm.
that's true. That's true.
It was one of the more surprising reveals of, for me at least.
Hmm.
Like it was so, it felt like it was very in your face, like Jill walking away, doing different things. And after watching like a lot of the deleted scenes, now it would have been more obvious if they would have kept them. The,
Yeah,
I still think she was by far the biggest surprise of the killers for me.
Mm,
I think she's definitely one of them. Yeah,
yeah. Her and in my opinion, in Scream 3,
Roman.
the mother or the
Yeah.
reporter, two, sorry, I'm thinking
Oh,
of
too. Yeah,
the reporter. Because she kind of just is like on the fringes of everything.
that's what
But
a good killer
yeah,
does, though.
that
They're
is
always
what they
there
do.
watching.
Yeah. She's my solid second.
She's
Like
so fun. Oh, I love that actress.
Laurie Metcalf.
Yes,
But
thank you.
I think Timothy Oliphant was the most obvious one, though.
Oh yeah.
I
Especially
knew after the frat house scene, I knew it was him.
Yeah, that's number 2, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, okay.
I see
Yes.
for me he was just way too obvious. Like
and he
as
almost
soon as
got
he
fired because of that.
like him saying life imitates art in the college scene when they're just interacting, I'm like, this guy's got killer written all over his face. Like, what is going on? He's like not even trying to hide it. He's like, professing his interest in, are these movies making killers? And so I'm like, this sounds very weird. Why is this somebody saying it? Like, and then I
I
also
I
heard
think that
like when the script
uh,
was released, like all that other drama around Scream 2. So it just kind of seemed a little obvious for him. Debbie Loomis or Nancy Loomis or whoever, whatever her name is
Debbie
in the
Salt.
world,
Yeah,
um, she she was a little bit. She was my second surprise.
yeah. I just also love the way that she's like, wait, I've seen photos of her. Yeah, well, that's 60 pounds and a lot of work later. Like I just love that little moment in the reveal.
It's called a makeover, Gail. You can use it.
You should try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the question is with Final Destination Bloodlines, do you
Mhm.
know? So I'm sure you do because of your book, Patrick, is why now? Like, why 2025? Like, what was the whole publicity or energy behind revitalizing Final Destination?
Yeah, I mean, I think the better question is why not now?
Yeah.
But it's the 25th anniversary,
Mm.
so you want to do something for it. But they had been trying for a couple of years. There was before the pandemic, leading up to the 20th anniversary, they had two of the writers from the Saw movies, Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton. It's all over the internet how there was going to be a version centered around EMTs, which I hope they still do because the idea of someone who's surrounded by death all the time, how they would respond to this is going to be different than like how the three of us would. Like, I would go the clear route and put myself in the institution. Um,
Yeah.
but if you see death every day, you're probably going to go more maybe the Peter route and try to find who you can snuff out and take their life line that's left. So they had been trying for a couple years, and I think it's just, you know, they knew that there was this appetite out there for Final Destination. The reason they kind of paused was the fourth movie, it was the highest grossing, but it was the least well received. So the fifth movie kind of was showed that in its box office and became one of the lowest. And so
Mm.
they were like, let's put a pin in it for a little bit. But they saw, especially with the internet and social media, with the memes going around and everything, that there was still a fan base out there that still wanted to see a new movie and was waiting. So I think it was just more a matter of when, not if it was going to come. And it just kind of all dovetailed perfectly with the 25th anniversary.
Mm. So I loved the 60s theme. I think that it worked really well. The hotel or the restaurant,
Mhm.
the Skyview, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been talking a lot to Lawrence about how I feel like before 9/11 and after 9/11, they really had to like think about things differently. Did you talk with anyone from the Final Destination universe? Like, did 9/11 play a role in how they were, reshaping the franchise?
Not, I did talk to them about it, and this movie came out in March of 2000. If it had come out a year later, what would that all look like? You know, so I talked to them about that, but because they'd already done a plane and they weren't going to do another one, except for spoiler alert from 14 years ago, if they did a prequel, that would still be pre 9/11. So it wasn't so much how 9/11 would have affected things, but just how the world evolves, I think is, something that's interesting with these movies. Like the third one, how they're using the camera that everyone was carrying around at that time. I mean, I literally think everyone had that exact camera.
Mm-hmm.
And, now with some of the different things in Bloodlines that they incorporate because the world is different. I think they're just cognizant of that, but I don't think that 9/11 on its own played too much of a role.
Mm, yeah. And so how did you weigh in on the new bloodlines? Did you think that they were successful in creating this backstory? Now that it's summer officially, you know what that means. Beach reads. Well, I have the perfect magazine if you just don't know where to begin when it comes to which books to add to your to be read pile. The Gay and Lesbian Review is an incredible magazine that features book reviews, TV, film reviews, and such well researched articles. It's all about LGBT arts and culture. Make sure you head to glreview.org and you're going to see they have other magazines as digital issues. Use the promo code ITBR Choice and you get a free issue of the magazine. Their new theme is the situation. And in this issue of the magazine, it's all about connecting the current political moment, which every day we know takes a twist and a turn, and how LGBT rights, it's not the first time, sadly, that they've been threatened in America. If you don't know, look up the Lavender Scare and McCarthyism, and you'll see that government employees who were found to be homosexual or suspected to be homosexual were threatened and fired, a lot of them from their jobs. Also, there's an article about the Weimar Republic and censoring Magnus Hirschfeld's incredible sexology research in Germany. There's also an interview with the incredible trans writer and activist Jennifer Finney Boylan, whose book Cleavage just came out. And of course, the last issue was all about Dr. Jonathan D. Katz's first homosexuals exhibit. So I hope you enjoy your reading. And if you have any questions or you just want to gush about what you're reading in the Gay and Lesbian Review, please DM me.
Are you a fan of classic Hollywood movies?
Are you a fan of queer cinema?
Then do we have the podcast for you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christian Garcia.
And I'm Luke Del Mar.
And we are your hosts of That Old Gay Classic Cinema, where we take a look at some of the greatest films of all time and analyze them through a queer theoretical lens.
Let's be honest. LGBTQIA plus people have been a part of Hollywood since its inception, and this podcast celebrates those artists and entertainers of yesteryear while also taking a closer look at the queer-coded characters and stories in classic Hollywood films long before queer representation entered the mainstream.
So follow us down the road of classic cinema as we give you a guide to some of the films that touched our hearts, brains, and even gave us courage to be ourselves.
You can listen to That Old Gay Classic Cinema wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
All right, listeners, we're ready for our close-up.
Oh yeah, one, like you said, I think the opening of Bloodlines is one of the best in the franchise. They did an amazing job, I think, really setting that world very quickly and making you care about the characters. I think that was also something that they learned off of the fourth movie is yeah, everyone talks about the kills, but the kills don't mean anything if you don't care about the characters. And I think that really shows in the scene with Bobby and Eric. I think that you really feel for them, especially Bobby, I think in that scene.
That was the allergic
So
one with to peanuts, right?
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
which one was which?
yeah. Yeah, because it's still relatively new, I didn't want to say what the scene was.
No spoilers. Sorry, should I
Yeah.
state that first?
Um, I think they did a really good job making you care about the characters, changing things up a little bit with the formula, being that it's going through the different families. The only thing is, I know a lot of people are confused thinking that this ties into all the other movies because of the bloodlines, thinking that all of the premonitions, and it doesn't.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Because I was like, wait, this all happened from the flight 180, or this all was transpired from this lady on the Ceres Tower or whatever. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
well, no, go ahead.
I was just like, no, I know a lot of people are confused about that.
Well, something else is I feel that I agree. I don't know, I like the fourth one a lot too. The mall scene. I just feel like I care about these characters. You're right. But I have to say, even though I don't like to always look at the negative, the fifth one, I tried to like watch it, and the opening with the bridge is interesting, but then everything else, like I feel like I'm watching a Pluto TV free film with like actors who I don't really, the only one I recognize is that comedian from
Yeah.
Ted Lasso. I don't even know.
Oh,
Is he the getter done or something? Like
Dave Kuffner from Anchorman.
Anchorman. Thank you. I was like, I
Yeah.
remember this actor, but I don't know. I just wasn't that captivated by the corporate retreat, and it felt very. I'm glad that Bloodlines didn't really take a lot of its narrative from the fifth one.
Yeah, I mean it does tie in because Tony Todd does mention that you can take someone's life that's left if they die, so it does reference that. But um, you're coming in with the unpopular hot takes here, saying that you like the fourth and not the fifth.
Really?
Oh,
Oh, more people like the fifth than the fourth?
the fourth is the one that most people don't like. Um, because the and in the book we talk about it. There were a lot of issues that they were dealing with behind the scenes, and it they had a script that was not as complete as they would have liked due to a writer's strike. But they had a date that they had to meet, so they had to move forward with it. And yeah, it's the fourth is kind of it almost killed the franchise
Wow.
in in some ways, but it did
so
well because it was 3D and
yes.
called the Final Destination, so everyone thought it was going to be the last. But yeah, the
It
fifth is
still
kind of
is, right? Technically, like because the other one was a prequel.
yeah, yeah. Well, not now because Bloodlines would take place
Oh,
after it,
yeah.
um, but no, you did have a point. You do have a point. It was the last one, and I think that might have been intentional to like not do that, to not cheat people out of that being the last one. But
Mhm.
they had always wanted to kind of do a tie it around. So
I think with the fifth and the fourth one, my gripe was that, or more so the fifth one, is that the comedy humor around death was just so like in your face.
mhm.
When you look at the third one, and I think of the two girls that were just like they're listening to a cute song, and it was like in like an innuendo that this was like going to happen, instead of a comedian just like, well, job, you got to get this done. Like I didn't find it, we didn't need to be insulted like that. At least
Yes.
that's just my take
Yeah.
for the fifth one.
Well, the tanning salon scene is incredible, and still scared was a great PSA to stop tanning and to stop getting risk of skin cancer. So they did a good job
Yeah,
there.
I think that that tanning bed scene is one of one of the most horrific in the franchise because there's very few where you have the characters having a prolonged death where they're screaming like that,
Yeah.
and you're really feeling for those two girls. And the other something that I talk about in the book is usually horrific deaths like that are saved for the characters that you hate. In horror movies, like the jock that was a jerk in
Mm-hmm.
the 80s, they usually got the worst death. And these two girls they were airheads, but you know, they weren't really that bad. And to see them suffering
Yeah.
this much, it was just
They were
They
so
were so kind.
innocent.
They were
They're
like,
just,
girl, whenever you want to come over and hang out, well, just like, I'm
yeah,
like, I love them.
well, you're right. The jock in like the fourth one gets sucked up by the drain in the pool,
exactly. Like he gets the horrific death
and
in
he's like
that
having
one.
sex in the swim club at the beginning. I'm like, whoa, no one hears this going on. But also, do you notice too? Because I was rewatching for this conversation, and he like his butt crack is showing. I was like, was that a style to have your swim trunk showing your butt?
I think for Hunt to show it off, it was, and I think at that time it was a little bit with the board shorts. They rode a little low.
Mm.
Like the low rise jeans that Brittany was wearing back at the same time. Like I think that
It's gonna
was
be us
the
at our
guy
swim
version.
club this summer. Stay away
Do
from
it.
the drain. No drain. But
If you Patrick, if you had to pick one of the one death that stood out of all the, out of the entire franchise for Final Destinations, which one would you say was like your favorite? And which one did you feel like you were most annoyed with? Or not annoyed, but didn't like?
It's a good question.
So actually, when I started the book, I have to say the pool one was one that I kind of railed against, and I would ask people like, "Are we being serious here?"
The
But
PSI is way too strong for that pool.
yeah, but a couple things. One, I didn't know it was inspired by a true event that happened to a little girl. Um, so it isn't as, out there as you think. Um, but I've also found like a lot of people actually really like that scene. So while it's not my favorite, I don't harbor as much animosity towards it as
Mhm.
I did when I started the book 3 years ago. Um, that being said, to choose one death out of all of them, I don't think I can because
Top three.
Well, maybe which is your favorite opening
so
tragedy?
so I think opening it has to be the log truck just because it's just so ingrained in pop culture now. I think one, two, and six have the best openings.
Okay.
Um, I um the raceway, like I'm not a NASCAR fan, so like it really didn't do much for me. Roller coasters, I like them, but we all know they're kind of stupid to be up to go on them. Like that it's very easily like we're taking our life in our hands, which I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone knows when they get on it. So again, like it wasn't that traumatizing for me. I do like the fifth one, but I think one, two, and six are my favorite openings. But yeah, I mean, in terms of deaths, I mean, I think the second one, as much as we were talking, it's an action movie, it has a lot of solid deaths from the first one with Evan, his apartment catching fire and then like getting it through the eye to the glass with Timmy and Nora and the elevator and the 1-2 of Kat and Rory. It I because you get caught up in how action driven it is and how they're just like running and gunning it the whole time that like you kind of forget sometimes that that movie had some really solid deaths throughout it. So that doesn't fully answer your question, but I think the second one as a whole might have some of the best the best deaths.
Yeah. What's more horrifying, the Scream franchise or Final Destination? Because the more that you're talking, I'm thinking about Scream and their deaths. I mean, Casey in the first one, that prolonged death is so upsetting when the parents miss her and they could have seen her. But like, people survive in Scream. Like,
Ye-
Sydney survives. Like, Courtney Cox's character survives. Like, no one survives in Final Destination for
Oh yeah,
long.
I mean, I if I had to choose which franchise to be in, I would definitely my odds of surviving are much better with Scream. Um, Final Destination, you have like a 0.01%
Yeah.
chance out of it. So I would definitely say put me up against Ghostface. I mean, I think in general, the Final Destination deaths are a little bit more gruesome because Ghostface, it's a lot of stabbing,
Yeah.
which can be brutal, especially, when the Wonder Twins get stabbed 75 times and still survive. Uh,
love
I,
Chad, but come on.
that's my thing. It just Scream to a point is supposed to be set in like a realistic type
Mhm.
of world, and there's no way that Mindy and Chad should both still be alive. And that's
Yeah.
nothing against either of the actors. I have nothing against. I like Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown. It just, it Chad has now become the new Dewey, and even Dewey had to die at a certain point because he was stabbed so many times. Like, you know, I knew in five one of the three were going to get killed, and he was really the only one that could. It's Nev Campbell has said under her watch, Sydney will never die.
Hmm.
You the chances of them killing Gail, who's basically the co-lead.
Not Kevin's baby. That's his girl, his favorite character. They're not killing
Yeah.
him.
So Dewey
She
was the
almost
only
died.
one. Yeah, but Kevin wasn't writing that one.
No, I just feel like
Yeah.
the
The,
directors wouldn't do that to his
Yeah.
character.
Yes.
no,
Especially her.
I don't think unless never Courtney were to specifically ask, I don't think we're going to see those characters get killed. Um, that's actually my unpopular hot take is, and I know a little bit about Seven and whatnot, but I also feel like at a certain point we need to let Sydney live her life, like they said in the sixth one.
Hmm.
It kind of starts to stretch believability that there's
Mhm.
this many people who are obsessed with her and want to kill her. Like at at, at, at a certain point, it's like they can't all just be like, oh, we want them to make new stab movies, so we're going to do a real life sequel, or we want to do what other people didn't do. Like, you need a better excuse. So I actually wasn't too upset with how they handled Sydney and Six, and I'm not upset that they're maybe looking at still doing the spin-offs with Kirby and going in different
Yeah.
directions.
Oh, I
I'm
like
Um,
I'm
that
excited for
idea.
that. I'm excited. I heard like through grapevines that there was new filming with like supposedly with Kirby, maybe an ending, which is alluding to this Scream 8. Like,
Mm.
who knows what may be happening? Filming ended a while ago, but
yeah,
hearing about like Haiti and Pat, I don't know how to say it.
Panettiere.
Yeah.
Panettiere.
Um, like coming back for like an end credit scene, which I don't really think happens with the Scream franchises or any really like horror franchise. So hearing that,
Yeah.
I do believe that there's maybe the Kirby like movie coming out spinoff and
Mm.
with the Scream 8.
Mm. That'd
I've
be
been trying to get a Gale spin-off. Like, I think, doing a streaming TV show, like a Gale version of Murder She Wrote as like a
Ooh.
sassy bitch.
Oh yeah, like
Like,
the cases she investigates.
yeah, like each season would be a different case that
I
she's
like that.
reporting on. I think, that would be a fun series.
Mm.
And it opens the franchise up in different ways,
Yeah.
other than constantly having Sydney be attacked or her
Yes.
family be attacked. Like, I think that at a certain point, the snake is going to start eating itself.
Mm.
Um, so yeah,
Well,
and I say
talking.
that having full faith that Guy and Kevin are putting together a good movie, and everything I've heard, I'm intrigued, and I've been wrong with some of my assumptions with talking with people connected with it. So I'm not trying to say anything bad about Seven. I'm just saying, like, I think at a certain point they need to, you know, shift.
Yeah. Well, talking about the snake eating itself, can you unpack? Because Lawrence will always tell me about the controversies, but what really, like, we only have like 5 more minutes, but a digestible understanding of the timeline of like what was the fallout between Jenna Ortega, um, Melissa, wait,
Barrera.
Barrera, um, and who's finally in the cast. I was recently watching Return to Oz and Nosferatu with my fiance, and I thought, wait, I just had on Broadview Press authors who wrote a vampire literature anthology and the iconic edition of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So I said to my fiance, you know what? I need to tell everyone who's listening to ITBR that BroadviewPress.com has everything from classic novels to discussions about vampire literature, vampires in film and TV, the philosophy of sports, Native American culture, horror. There is so much on Broadview Press's website. I urge you all right now, search broadviewpress.com. You will see that not only do they have books for college instructors, which if you do teach college, you better add them to your list because it's amazing, all the resources they have. But if you have just wandered around a bookstore or a library and thought, you know, everyone always told me to read Moby Dick, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to fully understand it. Broadviewpress.com has you covered because they have amazing notes and sources to help you dissect that huge whale of a tale. See what I did there? I was just watching The Page Master, so there's a little Moby Dick reference. Head to broadviewpress.com, use the exclusive code they gave us, Ivory Tower, 20% off your entire order. Yes, your entire order. Enjoy your reading, and please reach out to me and let me know what you're reading from Broadview Press. I would love to share it on social media.
Yeah, so originally the plan was it was going to be, the third in the trilogy of the Carpenter sisters, and Jenna's blown up, and so there were some issues in terms of availability and things like that, and she wasn't going to be able to return. Then Melissa, posted her support for Palestine. And I think my personal take, and please don't come for me, but I think it was, I don't think it was that she was stating her support of Palestine that got them to call off renewing her contract. I think it was additional comments in that same conversation that she made.
Mhm.
And with that said, I've met Melissa. She is one of the sweetest people, one of my favorite people in the Scream franchise that I've met. So that's not me judging or anything. I think there were things that were misconstrued in what she said that led to, because remember, they didn't have a contract for the seventh movie.
Mhm.
So her being fired wasn't actually the correct narrative. It's they pulled the contract, but it wasn't that she was actually fired, because she wasn't fully contracted. And at the time, they expected that the core four was going to be completely jettisoned. Um, I don't fully, off the top of my head, remember, but there was talk that Jasmine had said something that she was standing in solidarity with Melissa. So then when she came back, people thought that there was like a fight between Melissa and Jasmine, and it was all internet gossip. Um, but I mean, it's a huge cast. You have Jasmine and Matt and Mason that are back. You have the returning Ghostface of Roman and Matthew Lillard, along with David Arquette. You have Ethan Embry, Joel McHale, Mark Consuelos, all the new kids, Anna Camp, um, Chelsea O'Connor, Isabel, and
Props for you
in
for remember. I'm like, I just know
Yeah,
that this does.
you are the Scream historian.
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
knew that this is the most
That's a lot.
packed, filled like Scream with the assembly, but this, yeah, that like I've never seen so many like potential victims.
Well, so what's the
well,
plan for those
sorry.
who died who are coming back?
So I can't say.
Okay.
Um, I can't say what I know. because I'm pretty sure then I would be meeting with Ghostface. Um, the little bit that I know. But 'cause that's the one thing that's hard with writing these books is you want to know enough. Like I was writing this before this new book before Bloodlines came out. So there was when I was interviewing people, it was like, oh, so let's talk about the opening. And they're like, well, do you really want to know what the opening is? And I'm like, not really. Is there a way? Because you want to be able to tease it and talk about things, but I also want to be able to enjoy the movie as a fan and not have everything
Mhm.
spoiled. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the tightrope that I have to walk with these. And yeah, sometimes it works better than others, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's trying to make sure that I can still enjoy these. Because like I said, if I'm not a fan of the movies, I can't write a book about it because you're with it for so long. The Final Destination book, I was working on that for 3 years.
Wow.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he Lawrence has a theory about Anna Camp, specifically after we saw the new You season.
Mhm.
So do you want to share your theory and make it live now?
I mean, it's not my theory. I mean, I've heard people say it before. I just feel like it may be too obvious that she may be like the killer. Um, but I also think like she may not be the killer and it may be her daughter. And then I who knows? I just feel she played a very good psycho in in You. So trajectory, not typecast, but maybe it revitalized her career and a camp, and now she's jumping on this. Oh, I can be in horror. I can do this. I let me show you Scream what I can do.
Well, and that's kind of the fun thing with actually both these franchises. The actors that they're casting now have been fans of the franchise for so
Yeah.
long, and it's not like they're casting people who have never seen a Scream movie or people with the second one where everyone in Hollywood was trying to be in it because it was this huge moment and phenomenon. Almost everyone that I talk to and you see like they are legitimate fans and have been longtime fans
That's nice.
of Final Destination or Scream. And I think that comes across on screen too, that they're there having more fun. Because I
Mm.
mean, if they're a good actor, they're hiding their disdain if they're just there for a paycheck. But like, there are times when you can see someone and they look a little bored or maybe seem a little flat. So I think that's something that's fun with these legacy franchises is, hearing how excited people are to join them because they've been watching them for years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess final questions or thoughts is well, wait, when is Scream coming out, the new Scream?
February.
February. Oh, soon. Well,
Yeah. So
soonish. Yeah.
9 months. You can have a
Yes,
baby almost in that time. That's what
that's true.
we're gonna have a
It's
Scream baby.
a Scream baby. So, what we've talked a lot about the Scream world, the oh, you have a theory. Can you say, Patrick, because I love what you've done on TikTok, is about reposting and sharing um the whole idea of having the stab films.
Oh, yeah, because that's the thing I love also is especially now that they're bringing back these characters, all the actors are having fun about wanting to come back themselves. And, and this kind of goes into the snake eating itself. Like, how far are they going to take the Scream movies before, the inevitable talk of rebooting or, and instead of rebooting or remaking the original Scream, why not go the meta route and make the stab movies? The first, two, maybe three would be very similar to the first couple of movies, but then they start to veer off, as they say in Scream 4.
One
I
has
really
time
want
travel.
exactly that's what I was just gonna say. I want to know what this time travel in Stab 5 was. Like, if nothing else, we need to make 5 stab movies so that we can know this. But I think that if it gets to that point, and I mean, Parker Posey is like already like ready to show up on the first day of filming if they
Yeah.
start making a stab movie. So I was just having a little fun saying like that, maybe that again, a way to expand the franchise, if they want to take some time off from making new Scream movies, make stab movies.
Yes.
And I think that again, I think that is you're creating more of a universe, which Final Destination has also done really well. Like you mentioned, the third and the fourth really aren't connected to the other ones, because they found that this concept works anywhere. So there's now this universe where death is going after people, and I think Scream can also kind of expand its universe into different ways, um, especially since in the last few years we've seen them expanding the merchandising capabilities of Scream. I
Yeah.
think that
I I heard, didn't they buy the mask or something? Like the rights to the mask?
as far as I know, Fun World still owns the mask. I know there was something going around that it with the tariffs that Fun World might have to close, and people were saying that, oh, then Paramount should buy the mask. I don't. I think that's the that's the issue with the internet, especially with the Scream movies. Anything you see basically on the internet, about the Scream movies, you have to find like three sources to back it up that are legitimate because everyone knows someone or has a theory, and there's so much out there
Mhm.
that to sift through what's actually happening and who actually knows things,
Mm.
there's just so much that are theories, or even people that just say things that are wrong just to see if they can spread it.
Clickbait, getting
Clickbait.
everything in.
Yeah.
I just want them to tie in the Scream to the Scream the series. Like
Do
you
we?
have I love season 1 and 2. 3 was, I guess, the original, like the mask.
Yeah.
And I think that's like it's different, but like similar, like
Hmm.
where you have like the person calling it. And I guess it's like, with the name too, Scream. That is a different variation. I just wish they went more with it. Like,
See, I never saw the TV series, so I
I
need to watch it.
I wish that they wouldn't have made the TV series on a $3 budget. I think the cast was, I think a lot of the cast was great. They did well with what they were given. Um, I just feel like MTV tried to go the fast, easy, and cheap route with it.
Mm.
And it showed,
hmm
partly by not having the mask in the first two seasons,
Mm.
or Roger Jackson in the first two seasons, but hiring someone that weirdly sounded like him. Um, yeah, so that would be my only thing is I because it felt like a knockoff of Scream, and Scream only in the name, even though like the first season actually followed a lot of the plot points of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, I just that would be my only hesitation about connecting them is yeah, and again, that's nothing against the cast or the people that worked on it. That's an MTV issue.
Mm. Well, oh, one other thing is, I know you might not be able to tell us, but I would love if the new Scream actually shows um the backstory of Sydney's mother and the murder.
So a lot of people have been saying that, and I don't know. I've had actually I do know, supposedly, unless I was lied to. Um, if they're using if they would go with the original actress, Lynn McCree. Um, my only hesitation about them doing that is, for the most part, Scream isn't a dark franchise. It has dark elements to it, but the way it's handled and everything. And I don't know that I need to see Maureen being raped, because that changes
Yeah.
things. And I know there's questions on if she was actually raped because Cotton was there before, but with her being murdered in bed and all the blood and whatnot, I tend to believe that, especially because she was having an affair with Billy's father, that him and Stu did rape Maureen. And I think when you add sexual assault into a murder that's as grisly as Maureen's was, it
Yeah.
takes the fun out of it. So that would be my only hesitation
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that.
Well, maybe not even the murder, but just like showing the backstory of her with, um, not with Cotton, but like maybe more of like the domestic
Well, I think
context.
I think that's another thing. They could do a Bates Motel type of situation and show Maureen when she went to
In Hollywood.
Hollywood and,
That's true.
yeah, like, and how that, messed her up. And then she tried to put her life back together and never could. I think if they did that as like, again, a streaming series, that's something that could work
Yeah.
and expand. I need to contact some people because I know how to expand this franchise.
You heard it, directors. We want to expand this into other elements.
Yes,
Because
yes, yes.
people would watch it. You know
Benefits.
that these would be popular
Yes,
Yeah.
they would.
if done right. If done right. I
Yeah.
mean, people didn't. People were railing against Scream, the TV show. I watched it every season.
Mhm.
I
We're still
didn't
gonna
love it.
watch them. We still.
Yeah,
It made us terrified to sleep. Answer the phone. Can we get enough? No.
That is true. Yes. So we definitely have to have you back on, Patrick, if you want to come back on when the new
anytime.
Scream comes out. I need to hear your thoughts. Are you excited for I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I am cautiously excited. The trailer I didn't love.
Yeah.
But I also love I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not even a guilty pleasure like a lot of people. I just really love that movie. Um, you know, Really there's nothing that Kevin Williamson has done that I'm not a fan of and I'm not an apologist of.
Yeah.
Um,
4th of July horror, as Lawrence
yeah,
always reminds me.
exactly. And a lot of people forget that it's a Fourth of July and summer one. Um, but I didn't love the trailer, but I'm hopeful with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah
Yes.
Michelle Gellar that like they wouldn't be putting their names on this and being out there promoting it if it wasn't something that they believed in was, up to the same level of at least I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so I'm cautiously optimistic and yeah, I will be there opening night, like
Yeah.
Same.
if not
Yeah.
before.
No, we will. We will. And wait,
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, I always ask you this. Lawrence, she's part of what other horror film? She's going to be in.
She's in them all.
Ready or
No,
Not.
Ready or not?
no, Ready or Not. I keep thinking
Yeah.
Ready or Not. When does Ready or Not 2 come out?
They just announced it'll be April.
Oh, okay.
They
So,
just they just wrapped filming and I think it was yesterday they announced it's April 26th, I think.
Oh, I didn't know it was going to
So
be only Netflix.
it's not Netflix, is it?
Yeah, they bought or at least that's what the post.
wait, did they buy the rights or is it only streaming on
It
Netflix and
said
it's not going to the theater?
only offered, or it said coming to Netflix.
Here.
The Ready or Not, Catherine Newton, the Ready or Not film Instagram account says in theaters April 10th, 2026.
Oh, okay. So Ready or Not 2 is in theaters April 10th.
That's so
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll have to have you back for that too, Patrick.
Yeah. Maybe the original Ready or Not's going on to Netflix in preparation for it,
Oh, that maybe.
or it'll
Maybe.
be streaming. I know Netflix gets Sony movies, so like Hard Eyes, I Know What You Did Last Summer will be streaming on Netflix. I don't think this is Sony, but
Yeah.
Maybe that
Scream
it's
is
going to be,
Paramount, right?
yeah. Scream is Paramount. Final Destination is Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
Saw is
Final
apparently
Destination
Blumhouse now.
is all streaming on Max now,
Yeah.
too. But well,
Yeah.
Patrick, this has been such a pleasure. I can't wait for you to come back and for us
That's
to see
fun.
Scream in the winter. Oh, a nice
Yeah.
Valentine's bloody horror. I'm sure they did that.
Exactly.
We'll celebrate Bloody Valentine's. So, how can everyone follow you and where can they get your books, Patrick?
So the books are available anywhere that you buy, I like to say find books. I know some people don't like to purchase through Amazon and the big box ones right now, so they can order directly from my publisher, Bear Manor Media. We're an independent publisher, so support indie publishers.
Great.
You can order it at indie bookstores. I know that they can order it even if they aren't like stocking it
Mhm.
at the time. And then follow me on Instagram. I'm the most active. And I think I'm my most wittiest at based on a book by Patrick,
Yeah.
which is a play on the Scream 2 scene when they say a press conference based on a book by Gail Weathers and
Oh,
all of
I
that.
love that.
So
Based
I,
on a book by Patrick.
yes. So I
And your
try to tie it
TikTok is
all in.
good too.
Thank you. I try. I need to go on TikTok more. I tend to forget about it for a few weeks and then post a bunch and then I forget about it. I need to be
Oh,
more
see, and I
regular.
think about it too much. So we got to reverse our mindsets.
There you
Well,
go.
thank
Between
you,
the two of
Patrick.
us.
I can't wait for
Thank
you to
you.
come back on and us to see Scream. And, you know, this was such a good time. So thanks for
Very nice
joining.
meeting you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Okay. Bye. And bye to the listeners out there.